channel. Yeah. What's up? So, subscribe to earn drops. What's this? So yeah, last time I was writing, I think last time, it was very busy. I haven't streamed for like more than a couple of days, and I kind of felt a bit bad about it because now it's this applications for Summer of Nix. And I did send my application, but then I saw there were 50 applications. 50 people who applied, right? And out of those 50 people, they're gonna take 10 people for video interviews, right, with the team. And from those 10, they're gonna take 2 or 3 people. So that means that you have like 20% to get picked, right? And then 4% to get picked. So I don't think they should have called me already, right? Yeah, today is Wednesday. No, I don't think they will call me. I know it's this week, but I don't think they will call me. I kind of, at the beginning, I hope they won't call me. But maybe, I'll do it next time. At least I know each time when I applied, it kind of helps to streamline a bit, It's good to have the experience. So I don't think, anyway, yeah, I don't think they'll contact me this week for a video interview. So I'll just be learning. I was thinking what to cover. And I wanted to modularize my configuration.nix because it's really a mess, right? I just have everything in configuration.nix. And maybe to just, kind of make it more prettier, separate some stuff, change some settings, key maps. So now I have everything in one file. And then I was reading about flake parts. NixOS config. I was reading about flake parts, which are kind of cool, really. There are all of these very interesting Nix projects, tools that you can build from Nix. And then I wanted to do also Nix builds because I feel like I should cover this Nix builds. I was checking on YouTube. No one has done Nix builds. And I kind of feel like now, after all of this application process and such, to just go through something like a tutorial. And Nix builds, it is a classic, so to say, written in 2014 and 15, so it's 10 years old, from Luca Bruno, Lethal Man. Is this guy still doing Nix? Lethal Man. NixOS. Developing Golang, 2014. Lethal Man, 2016. Yeah, this guy. Too many Nix builds, I'm addicted. What's this? Are these old blog posts? In this blog post, you're going to see how to make simple deterministic application with the power of Nix. First of all, no offense to Luca Bruno, the inventor of Nix builds, the inventor of Nix builds. Okay, he has a blog. Thoughts about computer technologies. Oh, last 2008. So Luca Bruno wrote Nix builds. OpenVPN, cheap Docker, TypeScript. Nix build 19, fundamentals of standard environment. Ah, he was doing this in his blog. But is this... Let's check out his GitHub. Luca Brunox. Oh, that's him. Yeah, I should have like a cover more. I have this This is nice. I work on observability, DevOps, mainly using Java, DevOps and Java, Italy. Luca Bruno, GitHub. So I'm just checking out from Luca Bruno. Is he actually active? October in the last year? Yes. But I guess not so much on his blog. So yeah, I wanted to like maybe I'll just go through Nix builds and yeah, I don't know. This is a kind of a bit random. So I still, this is kind of random, yeah. Luca Bruno blog, okay. So maybe I'll just, okay, so this is a ported version of the Nix build. So because these were blog posts, right? And I guess Nix community decided, you know, saved it up like that. It provides a tutorial, 2014 and 15, so it's 10 years old. I wonder how much of it is too old. It provides a tutorial introduction into the Nix package manager and Nix packages, package collection in the form of short chapters called pills. Since the Nix builds are considered a classic introduction to Nix, an effort to port them to the current format was led by Graham Christensen, aka Graham C., and other contributors in 2017. Up-to-date version, please visit. So this is the same link, actually. If you link this, yeah, it's the same link. It's the same link. If you encounter problems, oh yeah, I have to change that. So in Finicil, I didn't, wait a second. I'll show you. So yeah, he sent me the link here. Check this out. So this is the key layout from Infinicil. And this is, look at this, makes cap space. Wait a second, where is it? Wait, how did I think I need more. Oh. Wait, GNOME shell extensions. I think it's Zoom. Do I have that same? Zoom. Scroll zoom. What is it? Scroll zoom, mouse zoom. Mouse tail. Wiggle. What do you zoom in? There is a extension. Wait a sec. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Gosh, what's the? I just there is this zoom, kind of like a zoom extension for GNOME desktop and environment where I press a combination of keys on my keyboard and I scroll with my mouse. I use the scroll wheel, right? I don't scroll. I use the wheel on my mouse and then it zooms in into the place where the cursor is. I just can't find the name of that extension on GNOME. Extensions, could you check out? So we'll check it out like this. Yeah, I just want to find it because it's very practical. GNOME shell, mouse wheel, GNOME shell, mouse wheel zoom, mouse wheel. No, it's magnifier. Maybe magnifier. Yeah, no, it's just, and ChatGPT is thinking way more than it used to. Desktop zoom. I found it. Desktop zoom. Add widgets. Desktop cube. Wait a second. They have the cube. Oh gosh. Do you remember? I remember the cube. Oh, that was so nice. It was 2009 and 10 when I had the cube. It was nice. A desktop cube for the GNOME shell. Isn't this cool? 3D. Yeah, I wonder. Look at this smooth transition. Dynamic workspaces. Wow. Watch fork 673. Maybe we could try it out. Wait a second. Install. Will it just work like this? On, and now what? Yeah, but I'm also trying to find the zoom. Desktop icons. Where is this desktop zoom? GNOME shell mouse wheel zoom. GNOME shell mouse wheel. $12 years ago, 7 years ago. It just, I don't know. I'm trying to do Nix builds, but it's just, look at this now. Desktop zoom, mouse. Yeah, it's funny, I can't find it now anymore. No, it's not that. Yeah, it's not that. There is, that's the old one. I don't know. That just does not exist anymore. Can you look again? Install. Let's see installed. Blur my shell, gpaste, system monitor, outdated. Let's remove this. Oh, I don't have it. This, outdated. Oh, it's outdated. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Oh, too bad. This is the thing, it does not work anymore. A better experience with the GNOME magnifier. Okay, well, too bad. How do I use this? Wait a second. Stalled. Desktop cube. Go between last and general options. Oh, look, it's cubed. Yeah, and anyway, I'll just start reading this. This is going. Wait a second. So, Nix Bells, right. Why you should give it a try. Introduction. Welcome to the first post on the Nix and Pills series. Nix is a purely functional package manager and deployment system for POSIX. We're gonna keep, I'm gonna open up a new thread here also. There's a lot of documentation that describes what Nix, NixOS, and related projects are, but the purpose of this post is to convince you to give Nix a try. Right, we already did that. So the Nix packages and NixOS manuals along with the wiki are excellent resources for explaining how NixOS works, how can you use it, how cool things are being done with it. At the beginning, you may feel that some of the magic which happens behind the scenes is hard to grasp. Yeah, I did try to read Nix builds a couple of times. Never got too far. This series aims to complement the existing explanations from the more formal documents. Following is a description. Just as with builds, I'll try to be as short as possible. Not being purely functional. Right, so this is like the thesis also starts like this, right? So most of all, if not widely used package managers mutate the global state. Right, that's the point. They mutate the global state. One other cool thing is, mutate the global state. That's also one thing I want to check. The importing, what is it? Import like file directory as Nix. Importing multiple files from one directory, recursively import Nix from a directory. There is the, yeah. It's like you import the files, but as a Nix file. What is it? Nix file. I can't find that now. Okay, there's some attempts to mitigate this problem. Debian partially solves the problem with the alternatives. Okay, we'll not go into that. So while in theory it's possible with some current systems to install multiple versions of the same package, in practice it's very painful. Let's say you need an Nginx service and also Nginx OpenResty service. You have to create a new package that changes all the paths to have. Yeah, okay. Look, GNOME 3.10 it was at that time. Yeah, if you want to install two whole stacks of software like GNOME 3.10, 3.12, you can imagine the amount of work. You can use containers, right? The typical solution nowadays is to create a container, right? A virtual N for Python, JH build for GNOME, right? Each of these, ecosystems have a dedicated, look at this. It's something like Nix, but it's not Nix, and so on. Nix solves all of this at the packaging level and solves it well. A single tool to rule them all. Being purely functional. Okay, so this is more about Nix. Nix makes no assumptions. That's interesting. It makes absolutely no assumptions about the global state. It's a language. It takes a while until you get it, but it's like, I'm not saying that I got it, but it's like the more you're involved with Nix, the more it kind of changes a bit the mindset, and it is something about the mindset. Extreme. The mindset. because you're all used to files. Sorry, I'm a bit random. Derivations, packages. So the core of a Nix system is the Nix store, usually installed under Nix store, and some tools to manipulate the store. Right. So the Nix store, Etsy NixOS. So what do we have in the, let's see, in the root? Bin, we have all of these guys. But right, if we go to bin, what do we have in bin? We just have a, what is this? A symlink or what? I don't know. Bin sh. What's the sh? See, there's no stuff inside. But if we go to Nix, we have the store and the var. Store. And look at this. Everything's inside the store. Right. And some tools to manipulate the store. In Nix, there is the notion of a derivation rather than a package. These are all the guys inside. Look at this. The difference can be subtle at the beginning, so I will use the words interchangeably. Derivations packages are stored in the Nix store as follows. Wait a second. I'm going to change this. Maybe like this. Derivations packages are stored in the Nix store as follows. Nix store hashname, right, where the hash uniquely identifies the derivation. This isn't quite true, it's a little more complex. And the name is the name, and the name is the name of the derivation. So let's take a bash derivation as an example. This is a directory in the Nix store which contains bin bash. What that means is that there is no bin bash. So Nix store bash, can I do like which bash? Run current system sw bin bash. How do I check out? Let's take a Nix store. I think there is a, do I have TLDR Nix store like this? Okay. TLDR Nix store. The cache hasn't been updated for 122 days. You should probably run TLDR update soon. Oh. TLDR update. TLDR is a nice little CLI program. It's like man pages, but it's a bit better. Nix store can refer. That's it. How come there was more? No, it's less. Okay. Nix store can refer to multiple commands with the same name. View documentation for Nix 3 store. There's this 3. What's this? What's this for the traditional store? TLDR Nix store 2, Nix store 3. 2 like this. Manipulate or query the Nix store. Nix store GC collect garbage, hard link identical files together to reduce space usage. Oh, interesting. I don't know. What's this? Optimize. Delete a specific store path. Delete must be unused. Show all dependencies of a stored path package in a tree format. So Nix store Q tree next, but how do I calculate the total size of a certain store path with all the dependencies? Yeah, just the first, like if I want a Nix store, yeah, I guess we'll have to see this. I guess because I want to see which bash. Okay, he's doing it here. What that means is there is no bin bash. There's only that self-contained build output in the store. Self-contained build output in the store. The same goes for core utils and everything else. To make them convenient to use from the shell, Nix will arrange for binaries to appear in your path as appropriate. So to make them convenient, Nix will arrange for binaries to appear in your path. What we have is basically a store of all packages with different versions occupying different locations. And everything in the store is immutable. So right, whatever, let's say you have 5 different programs and they all are in the Nix store, and they can so to say be there together. You can use them because they all have their different set of dependencies with them, along with them. That's why they don't break. They don't share dependencies like that. There's no ldconfig cache either. So where does bash find libc? That's interesting. That's, yeah. LDD which bash? Does this work? LDD which bash? It's so green, this. LDD so look at this, lib history, lib curses, libdl. Okay, whatever. It turns out that when bash was built, it was built against that specific version of glibc in the Nix store, and at runtime it will require exactly that glibc version. Don't be confused by the version in the derivation name. It's only a name for us humans. You may end up having 2 derivations with the same name by different hashes. It's the hash that really matters. What does all this mean? It means that you could run MySQL with glibc, MySQL 5.2 with glibc 2.18 and MySQL 5.5 with glibc 2.19. That's what we've been saying, right? You could use your Python module with Python 2.7, blah, blah, right? You can use different versions of the same thing in the same system. In other words, no dependency hell, not even a dependency resolution algorithm, straight dependencies from derivations to other derivations. Right, he's still like selling it here. From an administrator's point of view, if you want, but it's interesting like to write it from different views. That's something very important, like when you're trying to understand something. If you want an old PHP version for one application, but want to upgrade the rest of the system, that's not painful anymore, right? From a developer's point of view, if you want to develop WebKit with blah, blah, that's not painful anymore, right? So when upgrading a library, most package managers replace it in place, right? So when we upgrade something, we delete the old thing and put the new thing. We're kind of used to this mentality, I guess. It's mutable, right? It's almost like updating variables in imperative programming, right? You just update it in place. And functional programming is not about that. All new applications run afterwards with a new library without being recompiled. After all, they all refer dynamically to libc6, so yeah, but then without being recompiled. Since Nix derivations are immutable, upgrading a library like glibc means recompiling all applications, because the glibc path to the Nix store has been hard-coded. I think that's an interesting point, because maybe you don't have to recompile everything. That's an interesting, it's a whole new space. Like, how would you, I think that's what flake parts, that's from what Robert did with flake parts, I think, right? So you kind of want to, in a way, modularize stuff you want to recompile and stuff not. You don't want to recompile the whole thing, right? I think that's one of the points about dynamic derivations also, because now if you change just a little thing in a file, which does not really affect the output, everything will be recompiled, right? So how do we deal with security updates? Another problem. Let's take Firefox. You install Flash, oh my god. And it starts working in Firefox because Firefox looks in a global path for plugins. In Nix, there is no such global path for plugins. Firefox, therefore, must know explicitly about the path to Flash. Path to Flash. Yeah. The way we handle this problem is to wrap the Firefox binary so that we can set up the necessary environment to make it find Flash in the Nix store. That will produce a new Firefox derivation. Be aware that it takes a few seconds and makes composition harder at runtime. There are no upgrade-downgrade scripts for your data. It doesn't make sense with this approach because there's no real derivation to be upgraded. With Nix, you switch to using other software with its own stack of dependencies, but there's no formal notion of upgrade or downgrade. When doing so, right, there's this rollback, I guess, the idea of a rollback, but that's not a downgrade. You could call it a downgrade, but it's just a rollback. So you change to previous configuration. If there is a data format change, then migrating to the new data format remains your own responsibility. Conclusion, lets you compose software at build time with maximum flexibility and with builds being as reproducible as possible. Not only that, due to its nature deploying systems, NixOS, yeah, this is about NixOS. Look at this. This may sound scary. However, after running NixOS on both a server and a laptop desktop, I'm very satisfied so far. Considering Nix packages, completely new repository of all the existing software with a completely fresh concept and with a few core developers, but overall year over year increasing contributions. Next bill, right? So that was the first bill, kind of really not so, very nice. But now install on your system. Actually, I'm just going to skip that, because if you're using NixOS, Nix is already installed, you can skip to the next pill. I'll just skip. Enter the environment. Welcome to the third pill. So the second pill was about installation. In the second pill, we installed Nix. Now we can finally play with it a little. These things also apply to NixOS users. If you're using NixOS, you can skip to the next step. Okay, I'll skip. Finally, something practical. Installation into the Nix environment is an interesting process. Let's install hello. Yeah. Now, dev is using a simple CLI tool which prints hello world, and it's mainly used to test compilers and package installations. Yeah, but what Nix and why is it you? Yeah. You see, one of the things when doing a tutorial, I want to see what will happen. Path merging, rollback, and switching. I don't want to install things like this. That's kind of one of the Nix and. Okay, let's do this. Will this thing even? Okay. Nix and list generations. Okay, it's just listing the generations I have in Nix environment. But what's NixEnv? NixEnv. List all installed packages. NixEnv. Query install packages. Q. Install a package from a URL. Yeah, I just don't want to be installing stuff like this. Let's check on Discourse, actually. NixEnv. Yeah, these are all, look at this, these are all dates also. NixEnv. NixEnv. Solving imperative to declarative for Nix. What's this? Okay, let's say I'm trying to install Telegram in my Nix via NixEnv, NixOS Telegram desktop. It's not the best way to do it in the Nix declarative way. It's been like this because it's just imperative approach. Whenever we do that command, the package name gets added into the NixEnv additional packages Nix file and be taken as input modules in other configuration files by default. Because it doesn't make sense to do so. Many packages need more config than just add it to a package list and be done. And side note, NixOS itself is broken in many other ways. Fundamentally, if you don't want to write code to configure your system, NixOS is not the distro to use. Okay, wait a second. This is not just about NixOS, but I agree that the native environment management user experience is fundamentally broken and probably unsalvageable. A viable solution would be adding CLI commands to environment management systems that actually work, such as Home Manager, and enabling them for them a first-class installation. What you say is perfectly reasonable, just the point of attack should be something different. It should be fairly easy to build a prototype where you just add package names for some file. Let's stop considering Nix a package manager. I've said it multiple times. At the surface, it's mainly a build and deployment system that happens to have some package management capabilities built in from ancient times. That's true. It's a language for processes, like for workflows. The package management use case is much better catered to by Nix packages. Nix itself is just an engine to do purely functional programming with file system trees. Related. Stop using NixOS for the sake of you and others. Look at this. NixOS was built as a tool for Nix as a way to manage packages in a traditional imperative fashion. It tries to bridge the gap between the imperative and declarative world, a replacement for the venerable just pseudo-apt. That's what Zakaria, in his full-time Nix, I think, yeah, he said, what did he say? The apt-get mindset, he called it. The apt-get mindset, yeah. The imperative mindset, right? Installing packages by derivation name. So packages in Nix are usually bundled. Packages in Nix are usually bundled in attribute sets. Each attribute name represents the name of a package. When installing packages declaratively through NixOS, or when declaring a package's dependencies, these are uniquely identified using their attribute name. When installing packages via NixOS, attribute names are ignored. Instead, NixOS-I attribute names are ignored. Instead, NixOS traverses the entire attribute set to find a package with a matching derivation name. This can lead to fun surprises when the derivation name does not match the attribute name, such as installing an unwrapped package that requires a wrapper to function properly, which picks packages via attribute name but does not note down from which attribute path a package originally came from. Wow, there are all of these problems. Well, can I just do it in a shell or something? So packages installed by NixOS are independent of the NixOS or Home Manager configuration. How is that true? This can be beneficial because NixOS upgrades will never change what versions of packages a user has. Oh, there's a video. Nice. So NixOS is bad. What do we use instead? Nix is far more powerful package manager than your garden variety ones like apt and DNF. More than one way to provide a package. Merely installing the package is probably never your end goal. Declarative package management, right. Ephemeral shell environments. That's what we could do. Do you often run into a situation where you need a particular command for one-off thing? Yes, but I don't feel like it should reside in your system at all. Ephemeral shells allow you to gain temporary access to a command. And after you exit out of the shell, it's as if the package was never installed. If you're using Flakes, Nix shell may be more up your alley. Right. A Nix profile. So we could do it in a Nix shell, I guess. Or not. Nix environment. Okay. Now you can run hello. We install software. What if we do it in a shell? Nix shell p hello. Wait, I'm in Nix store. Oh. Installing. How do I run hello world? All right. And if I go out of the shell, hello, nothing. So we installed hello. Okay, we're not going to use NixEnv. I'm kind of almost afraid to use the Nix. There is on NixDev. No. Description. List generations, deleted generations. I think you use NixEnv when you want to delete generations, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. We can list generations without walking through the Nix hierarchy. Yeah, we did this. Listing installed derivations. Nix environment Q home manager path. Oh, interesting. So these things change. Well, I guess these things change. Path merging. At this point, you probably want to run man to get some documentation. Nix profile will point to it. So ISA, like this, ISA. Nix profile. Do I have a Nix profile? Nix profile. I have. Oh, it's a directory. What do we have here? Environment manifest. Home manager path. And manifest Nix. What's manifest Nix? Oh, interesting. Yeah, so let's inspect the profile a bit. LSL. Oh, he's doing the same thing. LSL Nix profile. Let's do the same thing. Stable job. Yeah, users. Home profiles. Local state Nix profiles profile. Local city state oh state console state RC dolphin state RC. Look at this. This is from when I had KDE. NVF. These are some stuff I tried and I deleted, but they're still here. Yeah, what's the local state? Now that we actually installed some things, it's a real directory, not a symlink. Nix profile bin. I guess in bin there's a list. Nix profile. Okay, that's clear now. Let's check Discords. Multi-user installer failed to create Nix profile. What's this interesting? Home manager insists on using Nix profile. I'm currently reworking my NixOS flake using Snowfall. Everything was working pretty fine so far. The only issue I have been running into so far is that Home Manager insists on using the Nix profile link in its profile sourcing of the right. Wow. Yeah, so maybe this is not, too clear, but Nixend merged the path from the installed derivations. Rolling back and switching generation. Nix profile bin is at the head of the path. Oh, what is my path actually? How do you check the path? Stable join Nix profile bin, run current system bin, Nix store, ghosty. Yeah, I don't know, I guess. Rollback. Yeah, enough with the rollback. Let's go back to the most recent generation. I invite you to read the man page of Nixend. It requires an operation to perform uninstall and upgrade packages. All right, querying the store. So far we learned how to query and manipulate the environment, but all of the environment components point to the store. To query and manipulate the store, there is the Nix store command. We can do some interesting things, but we'll only see some queries for now. So what's the difference between the Nix store command and Nix store, and what are some of the interesting options we can try out to learn more about the Nix store itself? Nix store is a lower level command. Oh. Used to manage the Nix store directly, provides operations for manipulating the store, adding, removing, or creating paths. The Nix store itself is where all the built Nix packages. Nix store, more of a shorthand or a wrapper around Nix store, and it's used in newer versions of Nix, provides some additional higher level functionality that makes it easier to interact with the Nix store. Commands related to paths in the store, like garbage collection. Nix store GC. Okay, this runs the garbage collector to clean up unused paths in the Nix store. It's useful to reclaim this space by removing old or unneeded Nix store entries. Nix store GC. Nix store GC. Oh, look at this max freed 100. So if you add the max freed, yeah, I forgot what's the max freed command. It sets like the maximum amount of things to be deleted, I guess. Something like that. Okay, I'm trying now the GC command. Now it's going to delete some old stuff, unused paths. Nix store verify. This command is used to verify the integrity of the store and check if any paths are corrupted. What does that mean, corrupted? Nix store repair. If the store integrity check find any issues, this command will attempt to repair corrupted paths. Dump. This can be used to print the contents of a store path, showing details about the build inputs and outputs. Yeah. All right, I'll just continue. Oh, to show the direct runtime dependencies of hello. NixStore Q references. It's a lot of typing. Which bash? Let's do bash. This is still deleting. I wonder how much it will delete. Minutes. Oh yeah, I want to change something. That's what Infinicil sent me. Yeah. Default.nix. Interesting. Is this still deleting? Okay. Currently hard linking saves. Wow. 37,000 store paths deleted. 68,500. So almost 69. So 68 gigabytes were freed. That's interesting. Right. NixStore Q references, which hello. Q references. Q reference says which bash. Oh, look at this. NixStore Q references which bash. glibc, ncurses, readline, and bash interactive. Are these all the dependencies? The argument to Nix to show direct runtime dependencies. So these are, I guess these are runtime dependencies. Not all dependencies, not build dependencies. The argument to NixStore can be anything as long as it points to the NixStore. It will follow symlinks. It may not make sense to you right now, but let's print reverse dependencies of hello. Refers, references. Okay, references are runtime dependencies. And refers are reverse dependencies. What are reverse dependencies? In brief, what are reverse dependencies? Reverse dependencies are the packages or derivations that depend on a given package or derivation. If you have a package A, its reverse dependencies are all the other packages that require A to build or function. If package B depends on A, then B is a reverse dependency of A. Understanding reverse dependency is useful when you want to know what might break if you remove upgrade specific. So wait a second, explain me again because it's not so clear. What's the difference between reverse dependency and runtime dependency and transitive dependency and build dependency, and what other kinds of dependencies there are in terms of Nix? runtime dependency is a package or library that is required when the program is actually running, right? These dependencies are needed by the program during execution, not just during building. If you install a program like VLC, it might depend on FFmpeg to decode video streams when it's running. Build dependency. A build dependency is a package or library needed during the compilation or building phase of a program, not during runtime. Only used once, I guess, to build a program and are not necessary for it to run once installed. When compiling a program from source, a build dependency might be GCC or make tools needed to compile the source code. Okay, like GCC, right. So that's the build dependencies, transitive. A transitive dependency is a dependency of a dependency. Okay, in other words, if package A depends on B and B depends on C, then C is a transitive dependency of A. Transitive dependency are indirectly required because of other packages that the program depends on. But then a transitive dependency can be a runtime dependency and a build dependency, I guess. Right? But wait, does that mean that a transitive dependency can be a transitive build dependency? But we can also have a transitive runtime dependency. Is there a difference? Reverse dependency. This is useful in exploring the Nix store and figuring out which other packages depend on a specific package. Yeah, still don't get it. Packages that depend on your package, indirectly required by your program via other dependencies. Yes, you're right. A transitive dependency can indeed be either a transitive build dependency or a transitive runtime dependency, and there is a difference. Transitive build dependency is a package that is required to build a package, but it's not needed for the package to function or run afterward, right? Package A depends on package B. B in turn depends on C to build. C would be a transitive build dependency of A because C is needed indirectly to build A, but not to run A, right? Yeah, I still don't get it. What are reverse dependencies? If you can give me some more examples on that. Reverse dependency refers to a package that depends on another package. Package A is required by package B, then B is considered a reverse dependency. But so, no, I don't get it. Hello, how are you doing? And great, thanks. How are you doing? I'm just going through Nix builds. Yeah, so then does the reverse dependency can be a build dependency and a runtime dependency? Is that the idea? You're all right. Voided blank. Well, thanks for checking out. Do you use Nix? Nix builds. So let's go more. It turns out that our environments depend upon hello. That means, yeah, 2 environments were listed. I never really got into it. Okay, so you've never really got into it. All right. So what do you use? The manifest Nix file contains metadata about the environment, right? So, but we don't use NixEnv anymore. I don't know. It's just, maybe this is they should update this part from Nix builds. It's almost like you're afraid to use NixEnv. It's like apt-get. I use Arch for now. I use Arch, by the way. This is a new one. I use Arch for now. I used to, you know, I had it for many years. Then I switched to Nix. I guess that's the path, you know, you use all kinds of Linuxes and then you get to Arch and then maybe switch to Nix, NixOS. I make changes every 2 years or so. Okay. What did you use before that? The closures of a derivation is a list of all dependencies recursively including absolutely everything necessary to use that derivation. Nix store QR. Nix store QR, which... No, this is which... Let's do which bash. This is more. EndeavourOS. Oh, you got through that. Okay. EndeavourOS, which is not far. No, it's Arch. I know. It's Arch. Readline and curses XGCC. Okay. Yeah. EndeavourOS. Yeah. Well, great. Arch Linux is nice. You know, you got to do everything manual. Like that's the whole idea of Nix. You know, you don't. It's a shift, I guess. It's a shift. There isn't anything like apt which solves a set problem. In order to satisfy dependencies with lower and upper bounds on versions, there's no need for this because all dependencies are static. If a derivation X depends on derivation Y, then it always depends on it. A version of X which depends on Z would be a different derivation. Okay. Recovering the hard way. Nix and Y uninstalling. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of oldish. So since I like it, just I'm not running it very carefully. No backup except for a few files and no Btrfs. You're not running it very carefully. Yeah, well, I guess it depends what you do with it, you know. The first option is to roll back. Why Btrfs? Well, you don't need Btrfs, I guess. For a few files and no Btrfs. Channels. Hi. Thank you. I hope you're doing well too. I'm reading through Nix builds. And I mean, if something goes wrong, I need to change root into it, which I did not have to do apart from one time. Oh, I remember doing that, change root into it. Ah, that was... Oh, that's great. When something breaks, then you have to change root into it and mount everything and then do it. And then, yeah, I remember doing those things. So where are we getting packages from? We said something about this already in the second article. Channels. Let's not use channels. Nix channel list. What do you mean? How come I don't have it? Oh, home manager. It would be nice to not use channels actually. So I know that I'm going through Nix builds, but it would be nice to just stop using channels because channels are kind of dirty. If you're using NixOS, you may not see any output from the above command. Yeah, this is GNOME. Now I'm at GNOME for a while. You mean, yeah, it's GNOME. If you're using, yeah. If you're using NixOS, you may not see any output from the above command if you're using the default. Right. That's essentially the contents of Nix channels. These there Nix channels? No, I don't think so. No, there is no. Is not a symlink to the Nix store. To update the channel, run Nix channel update. That will download the new Nix expressions, descriptions, create a new generation of the channels profile and unpack it under. So one nice thing would be conclusion. Yeah, next bill. What nice would be to not use channels, to use npins. Discourse. There has been a nice thread which I'd like to cover also. Npins. On NixOS, everything relies on symlinks. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Because, you know, NixOS is just, it's very functional in the sense that NixOS is about modules also, right? And functions. And everything's described like that. So that's why you're so flexible and you can create tools and such. But yeah, it's symlinks because it's stuff that the program, I think stuff that the program needs. They always use this, what's the word? It's like a program needs some links and then NixOS has symlinks, but they all point to the store. I'm not really explaining this well. You can make packages list and configure machines on the fly or repair them easily. Yeah, of course, because you have everything declared in a file, right? Just as my file, what is this? Sudo, no, it's like this. So right, I have everything in a file, and I was gonna actually make little, you know, I have everything in my file. This is the worst thing you can have. Like everything is in one file. So what people do, they make modules out of this. But this file itself is a module, right? Configuration.nix. It's a function. It's just a function, right? It's a function in the sense that, right, it takes here, it takes a set of parameters, config, packages, and then lib, because it needs to use some, you know, functions, and then it has this, the ellipses. It can take more. It's like in full-on install script. It is like a full-on install script, but it's not. No, it's not, because full-on install script has a bunch of commands, you know, has a bunch of commands, and then you could say that's a declarative full, but it's not. Look at this file. It just says things which are true. It's not an install script. You see this? It says boot, loader, systemd boot, enable true. So you do that and you enable this. Or for example, I want the latest, you know, Linux packages. So I have this boot kernel packages, Linux packages latest. So it's more like a source of truth that says, how do you define your system, right? And then you can separate it. Like this is configuration.nix, and these are the modules that you import. So let's say I could take this out. Wait a second. Where am I now? Let's go to Nix. Let's go to CD, etc. Yeah, this is also not the best. Wait a second. Configuration.nix. Right. So we have here boot. Let me write hx. Wait, I'll do boot nix. Wait a second. Let's try something. mkdir modules. Anyway, I have to do this. No, I cannot do it here. This is also not the best. It would be nice if I could do this in my home directory. But let's say mkdir modules. Right, and then let's cd into modules hx boot.nix. Boot.nix. So I'm gonna do, let's do like this and paste it here. Great, I don't know how to paste. Okay, I do know. So what do I have here, right? I have these guys, and then I open up. Do I need to open up? I think I have to put it in the no, I go this like this. Will this work? Undefined name, because I have packages. So now I have to, okay, I'm using packages. So now I'll make a open up this and write packages, comma, 3 dots, like this, close it, and like this. Okay, so now I have a module, right? And I can save that. So I have boot.nix. Right, so I could actually delete this. I could delete this and import it here. And import modules boot.nix. Right. I kind of have to do it with the rest. Boot, and now I can write, let's do now let's rebuild it, see if it works. So now it will just, yeah, that's a very simple example. Okay, now it will rebuild it. NixFMT. Okay, this is not about what I was doing now. I have to check my home manager. Look, there's some stuff. So anyway, now it works, but I have this actually separated. And in this way, I should, you see, I don't have it here anymore. I could do it like, and that way I can do it with the rest of the system. So you see, you can make all kinds of options in, you know, settings, functions, and then you could share these guys also. I could send this to you. I have no clue if it applies to your current session. Oh, you mean this? Yeah, it does. It wouldn't actually work. You know, I tried to evaluate it. It worked. What do you mean, like you have no clue if it applies to your current? Oh, you mean if what I did this, if it applies? Yeah. Well, nothing really changed, you know, sense. Okay, when I do switch, it did switch. Does the change session? Yeah. Well, should I go with the 4th bill? I'll go with the 4th bill. Welcome to, yeah, it's a bit, you know, random, but okay. Welcome to the 4th bill. In the previous article, we learned about Nix environments, installed software. The Nix language is used to write expressions that produce derivations. Yeah, you just move the lines to a different location. Yeah. But, you know, I moved them, but it's like a module, right? So it has, you know, functions and stuff. So you can do stuff with it. So you can basically define everything what you want about your system, right? And then it just works. You can send it to a new, you know, NixOS machine. Yeah, also I can't find this, but there is like you can write with Nix even the file structure. So like you import the module and you import the file structure as Nix. Let's say you have bin or you have this or you have that. And inside you have files. So you can even take all of that and import it as Nix. That's kind of cool. The Nix language is used to write expressions that produce derivations. Nix build tool is used to build derivations from an expression. Even a system administrator who wants to customize the installation, it's necessary to master Nix. Using Nix for your jobs means you get the features we saw in the previous articles for free. The syntax of Nix is quite unfamiliar. So what do you do on Arch Linux? The syntax of Nix is quite unfamiliar, so looking at existing examples may lead you to think that there's a lot of magic happening. In reality, it's mostly about writing utility functions to make things convenient. On the other hand, the same syntax is great for describing packages. So learning the language itself will pay off when writing package expressions. So in Nix, everything is an expression. There are no statements. This is common in functional languages, right? I guess it depends how familiar you are with functional programming and functional way of thinking, which is kind of still hard. Regular use, I game sometimes, movies, a little Python programming as well. Yeah, that's nice. I kind of always felt like Arch Linux, yeah, because I guess in real life, I don't know, people like that. Like the people in my real life, they all use Windows. Like no one even uses Linux. So it's kind of interesting to me to meet someone who, regular use, just game, movies, and a little Python programming. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's kind of like this middle ground between a programmer and a non-programmer because you kind of use it, but I guess that's not for your job, right? I guess it's like more like a hobby. Nix 2.0 contains a command named NixRapl, which is a simple command line tool for playing with Nix language. Right, Nix is a pure lazy functional language. Are these links alive? They are alive. It's just my regular home machine. Yeah, it's just nice. Yeah, I guess, if I met in real life someone, oh, it's just my regular home machine, I use Linux. I'd be like, oh, wow, nice. Like, oh, wow, what do you use it for? Yeah. Nix is a pure lazy functional, not only a set of tools to manage derivations. They're like, why? They're like, why? Yeah, why? Yeah. No, I don't get whys. You mean like when people see that you use this, why? Yeah. They're not there. They don't even do the why thing because they don't understand it. Or I just sometimes say, yeah, I use Linux, but I don't really. Only if I have to say, oh, I use Linux. I don't know this on Windows. So I prefer to start with NixRapl before cluttering your mind with more complex expressions. Yeah, so basically in the same way I used also Linux for like 15, 16 years because it looks insane to them. I'm on a window manager, so they can't do anything on it. Yeah, I mean now I'm on GNOME, but I used to have window managers. Yeah, I might change also. I'll see. Yeah, they can't do anything on it. Well, you have to have a different like I have a Workman keyboard layout, so when I have that, no one can type a thing. I like Sway for now. Yeah. Well, if you use a different keyboard layout, then you are on next level, I think. First of all, Nix supports basic arithmetic operations. Okay, this is just about Nix, a bit of, REPL stuff. Division, showing the path. Yeah, right, the path. Recall that Nix is not a general purpose language, it's the main specific language for writing packages. Integer division isn't actually that useful when writing package expressions. I'm on QWERTY, but my main language is French, so what? Yeah, you could change it. No, don't. I'm not, not telling you to change it. It's a domain-specific language for writing packages. Integer division isn't actually useful when writing package expressions. Nix parsed. So, yeah, okay. This is maybe not so interesting. Yeah, there's built-ins div, right? Nix REPL. Right. Divide by 3. But I think if I put space, it will work. It does work. If you leave space. I changed the keyboard layout, but not the actual QWERTY against, so I can. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I meant like, you know, like Colmac, Workman, Dvorak, stuff like that. Now he's talking about other operators. Yeah, okay, this is about Nix has integer, floating point, string path, boolean, null, simple types. There are lists, sets, and functions. These types are enough to build an operating system. That's nice, right? So with Nix, actually, you build the NixOS. Nix is strongly typed, but it's not statically typed. That is, you cannot mix strings and integers. You must first do the conversion. Expressions will be parsed as paths as long as there's a slash, not followed by space. Therefore, to specify the current directory, use this, blah, blah. Identifier. There's not much to say here except that dash is allowed in identifiers. That's convenient since many packages use dash in their names. Oh, what do you mean AB, undefined variable A? That's interesting. AB, undefined variable AB. And what is it? A minus B, undefined variable A. Yeah, okay, I guess it's interesting. It's almost like empty space is basically function application, like in Haskell. So you have the empty space, right? So if I have A and B, A is being applied. Let's do more. If I have A and B, A is being applied to B, undefined variable A. So, right, it's like f of A, undefined variable f. You could do like f is, could we do like f is f plus 1? And then f of A, f of 2, undefined variable f. I'm trying to do partial application, but it's not how it works. No, wait, this is just an increment thing. F1. Wait, F, right, that's the identity, F1. Identity FF, right, identity 1, it's 1. Okay, because, okay, it's like doing FF1, right, or FF hello world, right? Yeah, I forgot what was I trying to do. Anyway, there's not much to say here except that dash is allowed in identifiers. That's convenient. Right, strings. I think the Nix tutorial is more up to date. But this is just basic stuff. The syntax for strings: when learning to read Nix expressions, you may find dollars ambiguous. but they're very important. Strings are enclosed by double quotes. And this style of teaching is, I think I used to read a lot of these things like that, but it's just very theoretical and with very small examples. Strings are enclosed by double quotes or two single quotes, right? Double quotes or two single quotes. In other languages like Python, you can also use single quotes for strings, but not in Nix. It's possible to interpolate whole Nix expressions inside strings with the dollar and the syntax and only that syntax, not foo or anything else. Foo is sterval, foo sterval. Oh, it will evaluate it, right. 2 plus 3, okay. Ignore the foo. You cannot mix integers and strings. You need to explicitly include conversions. We'll see this later. Function calls are another story. Using the syntax with two single quotes is useful for writing double quotes inside strings without needing to escape them. Yeah, these are like, with two single quotes is useful for writing double quotes inside strings without needing to escape them. Oh, I see. So is it like hello world? Okay, and then hello world and hello world. Oh, I see. But if I did hello world, yeah, it won't. Look at this. It won't really work. Okay. Lists are sequences of expressions delimited by space, not comma. It's like they mangled their own language. Does it look like anything else? I see some stuff that looks a little familiar from Python. What do you mean they mangled? It's a lambda calculus. It's pure lambda calculus. Do you know anything about lambda calculus? It's just lambda calculus, you know. Right? So like f, look at like true is A, B, A. False is A, B, B. True. And now you have, look, now you have true and false. And basically the entire Nix, you know, language is built on, you know, function application, like lambda calculus. It's very basic, but this is also what I'm trying, like, it's very basic, but that's where the power comes from. Because once you learn, once you see how you can, you know, put these basic building blocks together, you can create all kinds of tools. Because you have, my use of lambdas is very, yeah. But it's so powerful. There are all of these Nix tools that you can create. But it's almost like they're there to be picked up, you know, because everything is just, you know, everything is function application. Nix doesn't know actually anything about it. That's why it has no state. It's just function application. So in some sense, you could create all kinds of abstractions, all kinds of tools, but you can almost see the tools that you could create. That's why it's so nice. That's really what got me hooked to Nix. Even though it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. But what do you mean mangled? Okay, you mean like my use of lambda is very basic, yeah. Lambdas are hard once they get, you know, complicated. But you know what I can show you? Wait a second. This is something that okay. My system Infinicil. Check out this because the syntax of it looks strange to me since I'm not used to yeah, it's strange because you really got to be used to functional programming. Look at this. I think it's here, config. I'm trying to find, and then you can maybe, wait a second, machines, personal, where is it? Default.nix, is it here? Okay, we're checking out actually also configuration from one from one user. Hey, I finished as much of my VM as I could. Hi, Dapsters. Now I'm switching back to reading crafting interpreters of what you're up to. Oh, nice. Oh, I'm kind of just going through Nix bills. I was waiting if they will let me know. I don't think they will call me. There were 50 people who applied for the Summer of Nix. And they're going to invite 10 people for interview. And they were going to pick out of those 10, 2 up to 3 people. So I don't think there was no response back, but they were supposed to, this week they're going to conduct interviews. I don't think they will call me because the competition, they don't have teams like last 2 years. 3 years. So if they just pick 2 or 3 people out of 50, I don't think they're not gonna. Where is it? Default.nix. He's just importing stuff. Yeah, I was just trying to avoid. There's this. I can't find it. The function. I guess you can check this and see how much you understand this function, but it's kind of a nice way. New modules. Is it new modules? Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I don't know, like, how well do you understand this? So you have recursively constructs an attribute set of a given folder. Sometimes I go through this. ARM assembly so that I can make a C compiler. Were you watching Zodding? He's doing the ARM assembly. He's doing the recursively constructs an attribute set of a given folder, recursing on directories. Value of attribute set is the file type. So look at this. It's same like lambda calculus. GetDir is a function, right? Is a function that takes 2 parameters dir and then it takes this also. Else type. You see, you got to understand how to read this. I still don't get it how to read this. Kind of, but it's just not so clear. Collects all files of a directory as a list of strings and filters out directories that don't end with Nix or are this file. Also makes the strings absolute. This is a kind of a thing that I think that I'm not at that level, you know, to make some kind of a function with Nix that will do stuff like this. Yeah, I sometimes go through this and it's just a second raw. So I don't understand it. No, of course, I know. It's just hard, right? Explain this function. But no, but you do understand the point of it, I guess. It does a few specific tasks related to working with directories, filtering files, and collecting paths. I mean, you know, I should understand something like this. I should. The function takes an argument set lib, likely referring to the standard library and lib, passed as lib, and then declares several variables inside a let block before returning an attribute set that contains a key called imports. GetDir function. This is a function. Okay, this is one function. The getDir function recursively constructs an attribute set. So it constructs a new attribute set, and the values for each file, the value for each file is the file type. If the file type is a directory, the function calls itself recursively to dive into subdirectories. Right, that makes sense. The values are the types, and then it finds the directory. Where is it said? If type directory, then getDir. Then it recursively calls the function, the getDir. It's mapping the dir. Else type built-ins read dir. Now this last part, this kind of way, I also don't understand. And it uses a mapping function here. There is map and there is map attribute set, map attributes. This is kind of, it's a variation, I think, on a mapping function. And here we have lambdas, right? This is a lambda. This is a lambda. This is like the first part, and this is the second part, but it has a function that maps, and then inside you have the two lambdas. So in some sense, you know, I get it, but could I write this now? No. So the getDir function recursively constructs an attribute set, right? Where the value for each file is the file type. If the file is a directory, the function calls itself recursively to dive into subdirectories. Now built-ins read dir reads the contents of the directory, returning a list of pairs, where each pair consists of a file name and its type, either file or directory. And map attributes applies the function to each file in the directory. So if the file is the directory, it calls getDir again, right? And basically effectively scanning all subdirectories. Otherwise, it just returns the type. Okay, it returns the type, which is either a file or a directory. This creates a nested attribute set where each directory is recursively expanded. You know, it'd be nice to try this out. Purpose, files, collect. So you see, if you understand this, you could do all kinds of nice tools, right? Can you believe, like, you have a set of files and stuff, and then you can make all kinds of workflows using Nix language. Now imagine in a DevOps situation where you have like lots of people and they do all kinds of files and stuff, you know, and then you can create all kinds of tools that will help. It's almost like a really nice way to make, what do you call it, infrastructure as code. So Nix allows you to like define your whole infrastructure as code, but not just static things, but like real workflows. And that's kind of cool. That's really what got me into it. And then you can almost see, okay, you may not be able now, or I don't know, you don't know what to write, but you can see, oh, there are all kinds of tools you could create to speed up or to, you know, to describe all kinds of workflows. So I think it's a different approach to programming. I mean, it's the same, but it's, yeah, it's about infrastructure. I do it for fun. I don't have a good understanding of it. I did some Scrapper and some DB stuff like that. Very little projects. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. Scrapper. Oh, Scrapper, like from websites. The files function. Yeah. But I don't. Oh, look at this. Wait, you said before, yeah, with beautiful soup. Ah, beautiful soup. I wanted to do something. Infinicil sent me, because he uses caps lock Well, I could do that now, actually. I know this is a bit of a random episode, but this would be nice. So where's the... He wrote me here. Okay, so I see you use left control as escape. This is nice. Look at this. So this is nice. Look at this. Makes caps as backspace key repeat work in X. So caps as backspace. I kind of like it. And display manager, right, Xmod E clear lock. I think because Infinisil is on Xmonad. He uses Xmonad, which is cool. Xmonad is cool. We like Xmonad. By the way, what window manager do you use? So Xmonad is cool, but it's cool. Caps as backspace. Oh yeah, you said Sway. Yeah, I've never tried Sway, but I use i3 for a long time. I think that's the same. Kind of. Tapping left control is escape. So look at this. You tap left control is escape, and you hold it. Look at this. It's a function. Look at this. Wait a second. Tap is left control key is if you hold it. It's made to be compatible with i3 configs. I think I'm gonna use this. I like this. I use escape on caps lock, but I like having backspace close to my fingers. So I think I'm gonna do what he does. He does. This is brilliant. So if you hold left control, you get left control. If you tap it, you get escape. It's mean if you share your computer. Oh, you mean the thing? It's what's mean? The i3, the Sway, or the left control, or you know, I use NixOS. Maybe that's mean. No, switching the keys. Well, I don't share this computer that much, and no, I do share it, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't think my partner would they don't use control. People don't use control. I think she'd use. No, she wouldn't. Yeah. No, but it still works. No, it's not mean. It still works. If you hold it, it works as left control. If you tap it, it works as escape. Isn't that brilliant? Who taps, control keys? You don't tap it. You always keep it, like, because you want to do a shortcut. Services interception tools. What is this? Yeah, maybe this will be another project. Caps as backspace key repeat. Services interception tools. Packages interception tools. Yeah, I have to study this. I'll have to study this. Services, Xserver, services, Xserver, services, interception tools. So there is this page, NixOS options. I think it's in here in options. Is it here? Services, interception. Services, interception tools, enable. Interception tools, plugins, udevmon config. Udevmon config let. Oh, dual function keys config. Interesting. Job, intercept. Okay, device events, job, device events key. Nice. Interception tools, plugins. Enable. interception tools, config, lib. So this is the module. This is a module. Look at this now. Config, lib, packages, let CFG, okay, be this in options. Enable, type, default. So this is how you actually declare a module, right? You wouldn't use it like this. You would use the modules with the options, but someone would have to like encode all the possible options in the module description, whether to enable the interception tools. Like this would be the first one that you would write, right? Whether to enable it or not. Default is false. Then plugins, a list of interception tools, plugins that will be made available. Caps to escape. udem1 config. That's the one we will need. Example, description, string of udem1 YAML configuration, the path to the udem1 YAML configuration file. Does he have a YAML file? Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff to read and understand how this thing goes, yeah. It's almost like if you really understood all this and did stuff, you could get a job working with Nix. Okay, these are lists, attribute set. Lists, like everything else in Nix, are immutable, but lists are not, what do they call it? Lists are heterogenic, because they have different types. I think in Haskell you cannot have different types. Adding or removing elements from a list is possible, but will return a new list, right? Functional Programming 101. An attribute set is an association between string keys and Nix values. So in Python, this is like a dictionary. Keys can only be strings. When writing attribute sets, you can also use unquoted identifiers as keys. So I guess then the fourth Nix build just goes through basics of the language. S equals what? Foobar, AB, baz, 1, 2, 3, num. Right. For those reading Nix expressions from Nix packages, do not confuse attribute sets with argument sets used in functions. Elements in attribute sets. So that's the dot, right? S1, 2, 3, num. That's how you access element sets in, modules. You can use strings to address keys which aren't valid identifiers. Yeah, this Nix build is very theoretical. There are a lot of, it's not so modern. I mean, inside an attribute set, you cannot normally refer to elements of the same attribute sets. Like theory and then small examples. I kind of don't like that, lately. I would rather that it's more like a game, A3B, A+4, undefined variable A at string. Okay, now it's showing recursive attribute sets. Because with recursive attribute set, you can call things from the set within, like A is 3 and B is A+4, which is 3 plus 4. So A is 3 and B is 7, but in a normal attribute set, you cannot do that. So you need to use rec. Very convenient when defining packages, which tend to be recursive attribute sets. Right, packages are recursive attribute sets because, they call things from within. If expressions, these are expressions. So yeah, it's like when you said it's an glorified or something install script. I mean, you could call it an install script, but I guess that's from an, yeah, I wouldn't call it an install script. In some sense, it is an install script. It doesn't have to be an install script, but it's a declarative install script, right? It's a reproducible install script. It will work on any NixOS. Yeah, if A, B, then yes, else no. No, okay. Let expressions. I'm not going to cover these examples because I already done actually a Nix tutorial from NixDev, and it's just not helpful. Not helpful. It's very helpful, but I wanted to do this little bit more with examples, a bit longer examples. The syntax is first assign variables. Let A is 3, B is 4 in A plus B. So these are just basic things. Let A is 3 in, let B is 4 in A plus B is 7, right? You can shadow outer variables. With let, you cannot assign twice to the same variable. However, you can shadow, right? So these are all functional programming concepts. Let A is 3, A is 8 in A, right? Look at this. Let A is 3 in A is 4. Syntax error, unexpected. No, that was wrong. Let A is 3. Oh, A is 4 in A. Yeah, attribute A already defined. So let A is 3 in A is 3. So let name is Domagoj in name. So yeah. So let A is 3 in let A is 8 in A. Oh, I have to use lay. So this is means, okay. So let name is Alice, and then what? Oh, you have to do it in let name. No, let name is Alice, and let name is Bob. Then what? In A. In let name. So name is Bob. Okay. You cannot refer to variables in a let expression outside of it. You can refer to variables in the let expression. You cannot refer to variables in a let expression outside of it. Yes. You can refer to variables in the let expression when assigning. Yeah, I guess you would have to learn a bit about lambda calculus and a bit of functional programming concepts. And then learning Nix, I think it's way different. Otherwise, it's kind of hard. You can refer to variables in the let expression when assigning variables, like with recursive attribute sets. So beware when you want to refer to variable from the outer scope, but it's also defined in the current let expression. The same applies to recursive attribute sets. With expression, this kind of expression is something you rarely see in other languages. You can think of it like a more granular version of using from C++ or from module import star from Python. You decide per expression when to include symbols into the scope. Long name is what? A 3 and B is 4. Long name A. Oh, he's accessing the long name A plus long name B with long name A plus B. Interesting. It takes an attribute set, includes symbols from it in the scope of the inner expression. Only valid identifiers from the keys of the set will be included. If a symbol exists in the outer scope and would also be introduced by the with, it will not be shadowed. You can, however, still refer to the attribute set. Let A is 10 in with long name A plus B. Let A is 10 in with long name A plus B. Yeah. Nix evaluates laziness. Nix evaluates expressions only when needed. This is a great feature when working with packages, right? Okay, yeah, this is a usual examples. So it's like let divide by 0, right, is built-ins, what is it? Built-ins div 4 divided by 0, right? Oh, I have to do this in divide by 0. Let's do div by 0. Built-ins div 4 0. Yeah, and b is what? B is 3 in b. Yeah, it shows just the b. It doesn't do 4 divided by 0 because it's lazy. So it will just calculate what you want. You want b, it will give you b, so it will not calculate this even though it's written. So it will not evaluate the entire expression and give you the b, which is practical for writing packages. Since a is not needed, there's no error about division by 0 because the expression is not in need to be evaluated. That's why we can have all the packages defined on demand, yet have access to specific packages very quickly. Next bill, we will talk about functions and imports. In this bill, I've tried to avoid function calls as much as possible, otherwise the post would have been too long. So this is the fifth pill. Welcome to the fifth Nix bill. Okay, so far I've been reading through, but some things are kind of, I don't know. I've heard people, you know, describe Nix bills as great. Some don't recommend it and such, but it's a classic, so that's why I want to go through it. Welcome to the fifth Nix bill. In the previous fourth bill, we touched the Nix language for a moment. We introduced basic types and values of the Nix language, basic expressions such as if, with, and let. I invite you to reread about these expressions and play with them in the REPL. Functions help to build reusable components in a big repository like Nix packages. The Nix manual has a great explanation of functions. Really? What does it have? Oh. Functions have the following form: pattern and a body. Right, that's like lambda calculus. So you have it's written pattern and a body. Well, a function, it does have a pattern, but this is actually a parameter list, and this is a body that takes the parameters, that takes the arguments as parameters, and it does something with the arguments themselves. Right, so that's why it has, it's just interesting a way how to call this pattern and a body. The pattern specifies what the arguments of the function must look like and binds variables in the body to parts of the argument. There are 3 kinds of patterns. Oh, what about this? If a pattern is a single identifier, then the function matches any argument. Right. If a pattern is a single identifier, then the function matches any argument. What is he showing? Let negate. Well, is it let negate? So we have let negate this and x. Oh, okay. Right. Let negate. So well, if we just have the head, so okay, you can call this the head and the body, and the head can have heads The body can have heads within the body, right? So that's just the head and the body. The body has that same argument. But here it has, I think this is in Nix also, when you use exclamation, it will negate it. Really? If I do like this, it will not. Let negate is x, and concat. All right, we have the concat takes two things and concatenates them. So we need two heads, x and y, and then x plus y. But it's just funny because I guess Nix does not make a distinction here. It's a different type, right? Concatenation is addition between strings, not between numbers. But here that's not clear. I mean, I guess it takes any type because we just have x and y's, and x will be added to y. So x plus y in what? Okay, and now we have in what? And if negate, what do you mean? If negate is true, okay, so if negate is true, I guess that way you can check if it's a number. You're using negate as a type checker. No. If negate is true, then concat. Foo and bar. Oh, foo and bar. So concat foo and bar. So foo is x and bar is y. Else, just a blank space. Else nothing. Syntax error. Oh, I forgot to concat as x, y, x plus y. And if negate true, then concat foo bar else expected a boolean but found a function. Oh, this doesn't work actually. Interesting. So I'm doing a fifth Nix pill, right? It's about Nix package manager and Nix language. And one of the examples is not working actually, and so I'm just going to copy paste it. You can check it out. So what does this say? Expected a boolean while evaluating a branch condition. While evaluating a branch condition, concat if, and if negate true, then in the argument of the not operator. Expected a boolean but found a function. It looks like you're trying to use the negate function to invert a boolean value and then conditionally use the concat function based on that result. However, there's a small issue with the way you're using. In Nix is not a boolean negation operator. Instead, Nix uses not for logical negation. Oh, will it work with not? Yeah, but it's a boolean negate. Not foo? I guess I could put this in a file actually. How do you quit? Code. Do we have NixBuilds? NixBuilds. Example 1. Let's do example 1 next. Let negate x not x, like this. Concat x y, x plus y. And if negate true, then concat what? Concat foo. Concat foo bar else but this is undefined name, undefined variable not. Yeah, will this work? No, it will not work. Let's do Nix instantiate eval example. Yeah, undefined variable not. Right, it's not working. There's no built-in not. To negate a boolean, you need to use conditional expression or workarounds such as x false. Yeah, maybe they removed that. I have to change this. Well, this checks if x is false, returning the opposite. How does it return the opposite? It's funny, it's like negate just changes. I totally don't understand this example. What does concatenation have to do now with negation? I really don't like examples like this. I don't. What's the point of this example? Note that concat is a function that takes one argument and returns a function that takes another argument. This allows partial parameterization. Okay, I don't get it. Okay. What kind of an example is this? And what does negate have to do with concat in this case? So we have negate x concat. If negate true, then concat foo bar else. The negate function is intended to invert a Boolean value, not x, or negate the Boolean value of x. However, in Nix you cannot use to negate a Boolean. As I mentioned before, you would need to use a workaround like x false. But negate takes any type. Look at this, it's like identifier. In this example, negate would normally be used to flip the Boolean value passed to it. For example, negate true would return false. And negate false would return true. Oh, that's interesting. Negate. I was doing the lambda calculus book. Did I do negate? Yeah, lambda. No, I don't have it here, actually. What's that? Lambda calculus. To functional programming. Yeah, this book. So where's negate? Do we have negate? I thought we have negate. No, we don't have negate. Where are the booleans? Truth values, cond, not. We have not. Is this not negate? It's so weird because he uses the word negate, but is negate like not? So not is a unary operator of the form not. Yeah, not false, not x. This is false, true, true, false. Note, and here is defined in lambda calculus. Conditional false, true, x. I forgot this. Simplifying the inner body. I should repeat this. You see, I already forgot this when I was doing the lambda calculus series. I made 22 videos of this stuff and now I still don't know it. Great. Note that concat is a function that takes one argument and returns a function that takes another argument. Yes, this is called currying. So it takes an x and returns this. So it has a head and this is the body. The body itself has a head and it has a body. And inside of that body, it adds the first thing with the second thing. That's how you look through it. This allows partial parameterization, only filling some of the arguments of a function. Map concat foo, bar blah abc. Evaluates to foo bar, foo blah, foo abc. Yeah, it's a mapping this to these guys. A set pattern of the form name1, name2, name n matches a set containing the listed attributes and binds the values of those attributes to variables in the function body. For example, the function x, y, z, z plus y plus x can only be called with a set containing exactly the attributes x, y, and z. No other attributes are allowed. So this is same as, yeah, this is same as Nix RAPL. Wait a second. It's like, okay, like x, y, z, x plus y plus z. But if I put that in parentheses and I apply it to 1, 2, 3, I'll get 6. So x is 1, y is 2, z is 3, and we add them. But here is showing with attributes. I think it will work the same, right? And this is how our configuration.nix looks like, right? We have inputs, and what do we do with those? 1, 2, 3. Oh, now we have a lambda string. Yeah, how would you evaluate it? Can only be called with a set containing exactly the attributes. No other attributes are allowed. If you want to allow additional arguments, you can use an ellipsis. Yeah. This works on any set that contains at least 3 named attributes. Oh, I would have to apply this to a set, I guess. No, I don't know. It is possible to provide default values for attributes, in which case they are allowed to be missing. A default value is specified by writing name question mark, where E is an arbitrary expression. For example, X, Y, and this mark, X, Y. So that just means that foo is the default value of Y, and you can declare that here. And Z default value is bar, so Z plus Y plus X. So X can be anything. Specifies a function that only requires an attribute named X, but optionally accepts Y and Z. Add pattern provides a means of... Yeah, so I don't like this kind of tutorials because I cannot cognitively now. I don't know what I did 4 steps before. I just don't know. I don't find, I mean, I used to like these kinds of tutorials, but these days not really. That's one of the reasons I'm streaming, actually, trying to make some sense of how I learn. But it can also be written as, yeah, you just kind of motivation, little drops bit by bit, you know, this example, that example, this example. I think it's very practical if you know what you're doing, or kind of you're coming from this place where you can easily translate this. Here args is bound to the argument as passed. An arg pattern provides a means of referring to the whole value being matched. Args xyz plus args a. It can also be written as xyz args bound to the argument as passed, which is further matched against the pattern. The arg pattern makes mainly sense with an ellipsis, as you can access attribute names. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't get it. Args binds the name args to the attribute set that is passed to the function. Args does not include any default values. F is args in F is equivalent to F args Yeah, I don't get it. I still don't get it. I don't get this. The add pattern in Nix is a powerful feature used in function arguments and pattern matching. It allows you to refer to the whole argument being passed into the function while still matching individual attributes within that argument. Bind the whole argument being passed. Yeah, it's just too abstract. Sorry, I know I'm going through Nix builds, but I guess I'm going through it as I'm going through it. Conditionals. Okay, if, yeah, assertion. Here's a Nix expression for the subversion package that shows how assertions can be used. Assert, where E1 is an expression that should evaluate to a Boolean value. If it evaluates to true, E2 is returned. Otherwise, expression evaluation is aborted and backtrace is printed. Local server, false. So these are actually the default values. Okay, now you can see where this could be useful. So the question mark sets the local server default value. So let's say you have a program and most of the options are false, meaning their default state. So with this you set the default state, right? Java Swing, OpenSSL. Assert local server db null. Assert HTTP server HTTPD null. I guess these are also options. This assertion states that if subversion is to have support for local repositories, then Berkeley DB is needed. So if the subversion function is called with the local server argument sent to true, but the DB4 argument set to null, then the evaluation fails. Note that is the logical implication. This is interesting. But again, this kind of wide context, showing little examples with a wide context. Yeah, I don't think Nix, it's hard for someone like me to read Nix bills with expression. So this is still about language. With E1 and E2 introduces the set E1 into the lexical scope of the expression E2. Let us x foo y bar, so that's us, in with us x plus y. Evaluates the foo bar since the width adds the x. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my god, it's so long, and I've been just reading through. Evaluates the foo bar since the width adds the x and y attributes. Makes all attributes defined in the definitions, Nix. The bindings introduced by width do not show. You're becoming a full-time streamer over time, lol. Yeah. Yeah. The full-time streamer. It's funny, like always when I'm working on, I mean, when I do something, I stream. So it's not that hard then, you know. Otherwise, I would have to, I guess it would be nice to prepare some stuff to stream. But I don't have that much time, so I kind of stream what I can. But it helps me even now, like I gotta learn more, like what am I gonna do for next year? I will apply next year for Summer of Nix, and they might do also Google Summer of Code. So what I plan now is kind of understand, work more with Nix. So I already have a good start. I have some contributions, make more contributions to Nix packages. Definitely learn more about Nix packages and how the it's dangerous, you know, like now I started to read through Nix builds and it's kind of a nice idea, but now when I read it, it's very theoretical. Theory is great, I love theory, but I love it too much sometimes, and these kinds of tutorials are just not so, you know, contributing to projects always helps. It gets your foot in the door and gives you something to talk about in an interview. Yeah, but not just that, you know what I mean? Like when you're contributing, you're actually doing something, you know, and it's kind of, you can still learn stuff and theory while you're contributing. You see, I could just, that was the thing when I installed Nix, I would read too much, like now what I'm doing. And then someone said to me, I was applying for Summer of Nix, and one, you know, Nixer, he told me, well, just go read the Nix packages manual. And I was like, what do you mean Nix packages manual? I never read it. Why would I read Nix packages manual? And there immediately it starts, you know, go to GitHub page, check out what to do. And I never did that. I was feeling dread almost going to GitHub. Open a PR. Yeah. So I hope here in this year I'll do more of that, just as I began. Name, because stuff like this, names, look at these keywords. All right, they're keywords. Node, right. Scoping rules. Statically scoped, but with multiple scopes and shadowing rules. Primary scope, explicitly bound variables. Let inherit function arguments. Inherit is interesting. Secondary scope, implicitly bound variables with. This is nice. Primary scope takes precedence over secondary scope. See with for a detailed example. Like one of the things I'd like to do also is to modularize my configuration.nix, learn a bit more about flakes, learn a bit flake parts, use npins, stop using channels with my NixOS. Those are the things that I like to do. Yeah. String interpolation. And then, you know, learn about, you know, packaging. See, maybe adopt a package. It would be nice if I have contributed something to Nix packages. Contributing. Yeah. I'm kind of not feeling this for now. There's too many examples. It's almost like reading through a dictionary. Yeah. I'd rather work through it and lookup path. Yeah, it's just too much. Look at this, operators. Right, okay. It's a simple language, sure, but I like would attribute selection function application has attribute arithmetic string. Yeah, it's just I'm not too fond of. Built-ins, look at this, it's too much. Current system. Oh, he's showing everything. No, wait a second, I'm on NixDev. No. Nix builds, function and imports. Okay, we touched for Nix language, let's just see a bit. We touched the Nix language for a moment. We introduced basic types and values of the Nix language and basic expressions such as if, with, and let. I invite you to reread, right? I remind you how to enter the Nix environment. Functions are anonymous lambdas, right, and only have a single parameter, right. That's something that I read 100,000 times. The syntax is extremely simple. Type the parameter name, then, you know, a colon, then, or double dot, I don't know, forgot how you say this, then the body of the function. X plus 2. You know what? I did contribute, but I need to learn more about NixOS tests. And also because I did make that package for the interview, right? But was not about the package. It was about testing the package and writing modules, which I'm not good at. Should learn more about it. That's why I said I need to make modules out of my configuration.nix, because my configuration.nix is horrible. It's just one file with everything in it. So that's not good. So here we defined a function that takes a parameter x and returns x times 2. Right, this is just a double function. The problem is that we cannot use it in any way because it's unnamed. Joke. Right, so we put double and we have a double. We can use a double when you can use a double on a double. Please ignore the special syntax. So we defined a function that takes one parameter and returns x times 2. This function is then assigned to the variable double. Finally, we did our first function called double3. Right. So it's like saying x is x plus, well, x times 2, right? A lambda string. And you would have to type it each time, right? X times 2, and then let's apply that. Let's apply that to a number 2. So you get a 4. But I have to type it each time now, right? 4. I could apply it twice. Look at this. So double. Maybe I could do double. I would have to put Yeah, how would I write that actually? Like this? No, this wouldn't work. uh, yeah, this one works. But wait a second, double is what? Double is x times 2. That's a double. So if I do double 2, yeah, I get double 4. But if I do double 2, I get 8. So that means x times 2. And then I would have to wrap it. Oh, I guess I would have to do like this. X times 2 and 2. Now it works. No, it doesn't work. Oh, no, it does work. Like this. It does work. Right, because yes, this is about functional programming and about this is being applied to this whole thing. So this whole thing is double of 2 is 4. And now we have this double is being applied to 4, we get an 8. And before it didn't work because this was being applied to this. This takes only one argument and doubles it. And here we're giving it 2 arguments. While evaluating the first argument of the multiplication, expected an integer but found a function, right? So we just gave a function here. Function times 2, that won't work. That's why it didn't work. We defined the text1 parameter. Big note, it's not like many other programming languages where you write double 3, it really is double 3. So white space is function application like in Haskell, which is kind of very cool. I like this functionality of the white space. In summary, to call a function, name the variable, then space, then the argument, nothing else to say. It's as easy as that. More than one parameter. How do we create a function that accepts more than one parameter? For people not used to functional programming, this may take a while to grasp. Oh yeah, that's about mul a. For people not used to functionally. A and B, A times B. Yeah, I've done all of these examples before. I used to do them and then I forget them. This is the memory that appears now. Doing all of these little examples, you kind of get it, and then you do Nix, you do some real world stuff and you don't know what to do. That's my experience. Argument set, cool feature of Nix, possible to pattern match over a set in the parameter. Default and variadic attributes. Yeah, I guess the Nix build should be something that really tells you what Nix is and what you could do with it. Mul. He's defining multiplication. Yeah, I think for me, it's I'm just talking from my experience. This going through Nix builds will not be the best thing for me now. I have to do more concrete things. It's funny, like Nix made me change a bit in the sense that, you know, I want to like contribute more meaningfully than just study. Hmm. So let's quit this and let's work on my NixOS configuration actually. I'll do something practical. But where do I keep it? I keep it in Etsy. Let's check out. I guess we have to read a bit. Anatomy of a NixOS config. Anatomy of a NixOS config. Support readable and intuitive factors over efficiency factors. Modular repeatability, strict core against optional tolerance. A strict core is just something that is in configuration that is present on all hosts, right? Yeah, I don't use flakes. But maybe we could try it out, you know, flake Nix as inputs, outputs. It's the same like with the functions. This file is a central staging area that connects external dependency sources and the internal structural elements that are used throughout the config. It is the entry point to hosts and user home configurations for the entire Nix config. External dependencies are specified in flake.nix as inputs and can include URLs to sources like the official package management channels, as well as other flakes that provide Nix-specific flavors of package configurations or other utilities that we want to leverage, such as SOPs Nix for secrets management, NixSwim for NixOS. The rest of the flake.nix file consists of output specifications that declare each host and user, custom modules, overlays, custom packages, scripts, format your dev shell host home. Yeah, where is it? Pinning NixOS with endpins. I should do this first before flakes. Note that NixOS rebuild has gained the ability to pass it and instantiated NixOS system. I'm quite fond of that approach. Always nice to see people documenting flakeless, channel-less approaches. Yeah, pinning NixOS with endpins, this time without flakes, for real. Let's check out this. This is something what I wanted to do for a while. Last year, Jade posted pinning NixOS with endpins or how to kill channels forever without flakes. In short, what we want is, let's see, Jade. Kane is using NixOS. Oh, start of meetup. Kane is using NixOS channel that's not good. It's going to gaslight you. 6 hours later, utterly bamboozled by channels. 6.5 hours later, I'm no longer using channels. Okay. Nix channels, which just like Nix is a name, overloaded to mean several things, are an excellent way to confuse and baffle yourself with a NixOS configuration by making it depend on uncontrolled and confusing external variables. Rather than being self-contained, you can see an excellent explanation of the overloaded meaning of channels at Samuel Deere's blog. Really. it's not about flakes forgets channels. I have seen a couple of times people conflate that not using flakes is synonymous to using channels. Yeah, sometimes people say that. In reality, things are murkier. And anyways, this simplification misses the big picture. What are even channels? Exactly. What do we have here? TLDR Nix channel. Not found in cache. Man. Channels are a mechanism for referencing remote Nix expressions and conveniently retrieving their latest version. The moving parts of channels are the official channels, the user-specific list of subscribed channels, the downloaded channel. Yeah, but it's kind of mutable in the sense that you can, if I download something today, it will not be the same thing in some other date, other, time. So that means it's mutable in a way, channel. The state of a subscribed channel is external to the Nix expressions. Relying on it, this may limit reproducibility, right? The state is external to the Nix expressions. You cannot control it with Nix expressions. Dependencies on other Nix expressions can be declared explicitly with fetch URL, fetch tarball, or fetch get. Oh, interesting. It may mean many of the overall concept of channels, release bumps, or the related Git branch, which flakes refer to. Channel 2311 is an argument to built-ins fetch tarball. Hydra channels not actually in the use. Nix path, the environment variable, including its usual semantics. Nix channel, the tool, and its semantics. This is a lot of reading to do, I guess. The definition of channel is more of an organizational and conceptual one. It is used to refer to a specific version of usually Nix packages that have been built and tested on the organization's Hydra instance. Right, that's the channel. Like I'm on unstable channel. So for example, at any point in time, the NixOS 2311 channel conceptually refers to the latest Nix packages commit where the tested job has been built successfully and the whole package set has been tried to be built on Hydra. Right, if we go on hydra.nixos.org, NixOS release 2311 tested 2024. Maybe you could go to status queue running builds. Wait a second, if I go here, how do I check running builds, machine status, latest builds, latest running builds? Machine status. These are all programs. Latest evaluations. No. Latest builds. Nix packaging 2411. Nix staging. Yeah, a lot of these things I don't understand really, like Nix staging, Python. Build. Yeah, this is a bit. In practice, the end user will observe and interact with these in two places: the releases NixOS org pages and the GitHub repos branches. Oh, releases NixOS. Look, it has already from 13.10. Wow. Graphical 13.10 minimal. Linux OVA. That's nice. 2016. It's on S3 bucket. All right. Unstable 25 or 5. NixOS images. 25.5 beta. Right, okay. The former is what the legacy, but still default Nix packages. These are what could be referred to as inputs to a build. The channel syntax, the URLs of the tarballs, blah, blah, Hydra channels. Okay, what's in the Nix path? Nix path is the overall concept within Nix, analogous to the path, where colon-separated list of entries is used during evaluation to look up some values. Nix path and -I arguments are what makes the impure angled bracket syntax work to refer to paths. One reason this is impure is because the values are not declared within the expressions, but come from an external soupy ambient mess. Soupy ambient mess. Nice. In more precise words, okay, the environment. In more precise words, things looked up in NixPath are not declarative. In addition to being an anti-pattern due to evaluation impurities, it is also confusing what is the value of NixPath on a given system. Which of the many values will it use? The Nix channel command, right? The Nix channel command is the main thing people conflate as being the opposite of flakes. It is not. It is, however, the most likely method people used or used to manage inputs system-wide when not using flakes. The Nix channel semantics, quickly explained, use Nix and profile semantics to build a directory that can be used as an entry, blah, blah. Maybe showing what it does can help. Oh, Nix channel add, now it's adding here foobar channel. It's adding something from a channel, a Nix channel update. Now he's updating the channels, Nix path, P foobar, user Samuel Nix. Okay, Nix import foobar, or hi there, cute. LSL, local state profiles, channels. And it has his channel, oh hi there. The root user also can have channels. A couple of issues with using Nix channel for managing inputs. These are global values. They are extremely non-declarative. A release bump to the expression could happen between the moment you run Nix channel update on two different machines, leading to two different inputs, right? Nix channel should not be used. It is a tool from another era. Then flakes are the alternative to channels. Yes, but also no. Pedantically, when using flakes, you likely end up using the concept of channels through referring to a Nix package's branch name. So in this way, they're not an alternative to channels since they use channels, right? Because you'll have NixOS unstable in flakes. You don't really pin the version of the unstable. What flakes are, among myriad things, is a way to manage inputs. In that sense, flakes can and do replace Nix channel semantics, though they're not the alternative, only one of many. Other ways to manage inputs. Okay, this is not a comprehensive list. There are ways to handle this. This is a cumbersome way to manage inputs and has drawbacks, but it works and relies on nothing external. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, it gives the SHA, the revision, import Nix packages, so a special version of Nix packages, and then packages hello, and then Nix build. That's more reproducible, right? When working with multiple inputs in a complicated project, it has its issues. Updating is a chore. Need to get a proper revision manually. Since it's bespoke, every project could be using this pattern differently. With that said, using this pattern as a default value for an argument. Npins, right, npins. This is what I want to do. The npins project is a single purpose tool to manage inputs for Nix-based projects. There's no goal to lock all transitive dependencies from the whole evaluation like there is with flakes. So the goal with flakes is to lock the transitive dependencies, dependencies of dependencies. And you lock those guys too from the whole evaluation. No way to inherit inputs from another input, like follow with flakes. It only handles declaring inputs for your expression. Yeah, I guess one of the goals is to try to understand a couple of these tools like npins, maybe also home manager and such, but then also look, I mean, that's now I'm just, mentally saying out loud, goals for this year, like study how these guys are built also with Nix language. I think they're made with Nix language itself. So this is what I'm currently using to manage my NixOS system inputs. I value the simplicity and straightforwardness. What, that's it? So this is npins, 327 stars. Oh, very similar to niv, but has a few features that I personally wanted. Oh, he made this. Simple and convenient dependency pinning for Nix. Npins is a simple tool for handling different types of dependencies in a Nix project. It's inspired by and comparable to niv. Features: track git branches, track git release tags. Tags must roughly follow semver. Npins should readily be available in all sufficiently new Nix packages. Nix shell p np. I have npins. You can easily get out nightly if you want to require new style Nix commands. You could also install it to your profile using nixenv, not recommended, but might be useful for bootstrapping. Nixenv. Quick start, npins init, right? So like, okay. Where do I do it? Npins init. Writing initial log file with Nix packages entry. Need to fetch latest commit first. Successfully written initial files to npins. cd npins. Default. This file, let's see, default. Okay. Range. Welcome to npins. Tree, right? Default Nix and sources JSON. So npins show. Error: failed to open npins sources JSON. You must initialize npins before you can show current pins. Tree. Fail to open sources. Oh, I have to be out of the directory. Npins show. Nix packages, Nix channel. Right, this is what I have. Frozen false. Name, URL, hash, I don't have, what's this frozen? Cat npin sources JSON. Channel, Nix package is unstable, hash, right. In Nix, you may then use it like this. Let sources is import npins, packages, import sources, Nix packages. You may also use attributes from the JSON file. Yeah, I don't get it. Let's do. Okay. How do I convert my configuration .nix? Wait. Okay, I was talking about. Okay. I'm on NixOS and I don't want to use Nix channels anymore. I want to use npins. How would I convert my configuration.nix and use npins? Also, is there a way? You should check online and find, let me know several options. So I don't want to have the configuration.nix in the etc, right, in the etc nix, directory, because I have to use, sudo all the time. Maybe I would like to copy it locally to my, home, and there I can have the configuration.nix and do the modularization and stuff, and use npins. I mean, how would I use npins? It's just not clear to me. It's a lot of these things. It just, okay. Well, I'll just remove this actually. So like this in Nix, you may then use it like this. Maybe I could use like import. You may use attributes from JSON file, expose 1.1. For example, transitioning from Nix channels to npins for managing your NixOS is a great way to modernize your setup, enhance modularity, and avoid frequent use of sudo. Migrating from Nix channels to npins, install npins, right. This command installs npins in a temporary shell to make it available globally, right. We did this. Then rebuild your system, right. Initialize npins in your configuration directory. So navigate to your desired configuration directory, such as NixOS conf. Okay. Well, my system. Maybe we call it my system or what? Let's make my system. Let's do it here. My system, or NixOS conf. My system. It's funny. What would be a more functional? My system or NixOS conf? NixOS conf. My system. NixOS. My system. NixOS conf. Let's do it. NixOS conf. Okay. NixOS conf. My system. Right. Whatever. My system. So cd into my initialize npins. This creates an npins directory containing default.nix and sources.nix. Let's do it here, npins in it. And pin Nix packages using npins. Add the Nix packages source. Now, what's going on here? Npins add GitHub NixOS Nix packages branch NixOS 24.5. This command fetches the Nix packages repository at the specified branch and updates source JSON with the pinned reference. Oh, wait, there's a Nix dev actually article. The Nix language can be used to describe dependencies. Oh, did I do this? I didn't do this. Interesting. The Nix language can be used to describe dependencies between files managed by Nix. Nix expressions themselves can depend on remote sources, and there are multiple ways to specify their origin as shown in towards reproducibility, pinning Nix packages. For more automation around handling remote sources, set up npins in your project. Just not sure if npins would be good for system configuration. Nix shell p npins run. This command will fetch the latest revision of the Nix packages 23.1 release branch. In the current directory, it will generate npin sources JSON, which will contain a pinned reference to the obtained revision. It will also create default.nix, which exposes those dependencies in its attribute sets. Import the generated npins default nix as the default value for the argument to the function in default.nix, and use it to refer to the Nix packages source directory. Yeah, this is in your configure. Let's see here. Add the Nix packages source. But which source do I add? Like, I am on unstable and I want to keep it that way. If I add 2405, which will soon be stable, will I have to change it then again to 2411? And now I'm on unstable channel. So I see I'm already downloading 2411. No, 2511. If you're an unstable channel and want to continue tracking the latest development unstable, you should pin the Nix packages source to the unstable branch rather than a specific stable version. For example, if you want to pin to the unstable branch, you can use, but this is like a channel then, right? Npins add GitHub NixOS Nix packages branch NixOS unstable. This will ensure that your setup always tracks the latest unstable branch of Nix packages. You won't need to change the source again as a new versions. Yeah, but well, if I just pin to the unstable, what's the difference between Nix channel then? Isn't that kind of the same thing? Isn't npins more like when you want to pin to a specific version, right? Not just unstable. Three hours and 3 minutes. Wow. Pinning to NixOS unstable with npins is conceptually similar to using the unstable channel, and both would track the latest unstable. However, the main difference between using npins and channel is the level of control. Pinning to a specific version, git branch or commit. With Nix channels, you essentially subscribe to continuously updating branch, which is more of a live, constantly updated feed. You don't have as much control over the updates. Npins gives you finer control. Modularization. NIM pins often used in more advanced modular NixOS setups where you want to define and control the exact version of dependencies. Channels are a more straightforward way of tracking a general branch. Yeah, not sure. There's a lot of reading going on. Yeah, I think that's it for today. I've been 3 hours. But there's a lot of reading I wanted to go through. This, look at this. My NixOS configuration. I should probably study some of the NixOS, some of the interesting NixOS configurations, and I'll probably cover that also in videos. Study how they're made and maybe, you know, slowly work on my own, but I gotta keep on contributing. Okay, I cannot just end up, you know, rising my setup. So this will be it for today, actually. Yeah, I don't think they will call me. The summer of Nix people. Too many Nix pills, I'm addicted. Yeah. But it's okay, it's good. It's good like that. I'll work this year again, you know, and maybe next year. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for dropping by, and bye-bye.